Terrifier 2 is okay, I guess. After decently enjoying the first one, I was kind of disappointed by the sequel, mostly because the pacing is awful. There really isn't that many scenes in the movie, but every scene goes on 5 minutes longer because the director is also the editor and he wanted to keep every scene as exactly as it's shot, which is a terrible decision. It takes away any of the suspense and drama from the film could have had that the original did, and it just fails miserably in that department. Not to say this is a bad film, it's still enjoyable and has all the elements of the first movie, just done worse in every possible way. At first, the film starts off pretty good. It starts directly after the original, where Art the Clown comes out of the morgue and he's not dead, and he goes to the laundromat to clean himself off, which is a pretty funny scene. And he has delusions of a girl who looks like him. I don't understand this aspect at all. At first, I thought this was just his imaginary friend he has, but then it's like, oh, this person he actually killed in the past, maybe, and there's some lore, but not really, and then the kid can also see it, but it's not there, so I don't know what they're doing here. Apparently, according to the director, he wanted to make a Freddy Krueger who doesn't talk, which is fine, but that was not what the first film was like at all. He didn't really seem to have any mystical powers in the fact that he came back to life at the very end. The main character literally has a dream or a nightmare where he's like in the dream and it's real, but it's not, and it's just confusing. Like, I don't know what they're going for. This dream sequence is just confusing. It's not really scary. I mean, I guess the girl gets set on fire. Okay, wow, it's not really scary. I mean, this would be fine for a little short scene, but it goes on for like 30 minutes. Not 30 minutes, but it feels like it goes on forever. The pacing is just terrible. It's hard to explain, but if you watch it, you'll know what I mean. The first film felt pretty good on pacing. This one feels way too long. And this film's kind of dull compared to the original film, which is very shocking and in ways that are very unique. Maybe you want to watch this film. This one doesn't have that many shocks compared to the original. Maybe because I'm desanitized because the original was so messed up, but this one doesn't seem nearly as bad. Hell, even the main characters make it out fine. I mean, there is one scene with this girl here, where he gets mutilated pretty bad, but that's pretty much the only scene that really replicates the original film and kills. I mean, there's a guy who gets stabbed in the dick. I mean, that's fine, but it's not as bad as getting sawed in half in the pussy, which is a sentence I never thought I would say, but that's what really happened in the original movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So in this film, we have a new main character, girl, who I don't know her name. She has a nose ring, and she has a mom who's mad, and she has a brother who's weird and likes serial killers, I guess. He's like a weird kid, which would be fine, but he's also not into the clown, but he's also wants to dress up as the clown, but we never see that happen. He just says he wants to dress up like the clown. You think that would come back, but it doesn't, so it's very confusing. And they had a dad who killed himself, I guess, after going insane, but then he drew pictures of stuff about Art the Clown, but it's always going to be backstory. No, there's like no backstory. He killed a girl, and that's pretty much the whole backstory of Art the Clown. He's a killer. Well, basically nothing. It kind of tricks you thinking, oh, this is a bigger budget, it's crowdfunded, and it made a big stink at the box office enough to get a VHS release, which is pretty insane. But I still know nothing about this clown, and the fact that he killed a girl one time, and now he hallucinates seeing her, which is okay, but what does that add lore-wise? Nothing. And near the end, it just gets confusing. Like, the girl sees stuff and then goes into a dream again. I don't know what's happening. It's not scary because nothing about this scenario is scary, because it's just, when I'm confused, I'm not scared. I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? Probably should have watched more Nightmare on Elm Street, because even though that film did mess with your head, it never felt like it was like a way to make it confusing. It's always a way to try to scare you. Here, nothing really happens. So yeah, Art the Clown just goes around killing people, including their mom. R.I.P. to the mom, and there's like a sword that he's weak to for some reason, but then he takes it, and then they use the sword against him. Like, what the fuck's with this sword? I don't get it. The random little bits of lore they add in mysticism just does not work at all for me. This is kept to the same basic premise as the original, which is more low budget and down, and just focus on the gruesomeness of it. It would have worked better, but I'm just confused the whole time rather than thinking about anything else of the film, which is not a good sign. But there are still some pretty good practical effects and good kills in the film. Art the Clown is still a fun character to watch, and he does some pretty fucked up things, like cutting a person's head off and then serving kids candy out of their head. That's a great scene, and I wish there was more scenes like this in the film, but these are few and far between, at least in my opinion. Even when the ending ends in a fun house, it just doesn't do a whole lot with the settings. Like, you guys have a bigger budget now, and you're going to a carnival, and there's like nothing here to sink my teeth into. I don't know, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. Another thing that bothers me is I understand that horror killers usually have a greater defense and always come back and keeps going, but a lot of these characters will get the worst treatment ever, and they'll keep being alive. During the most gruesome scene in this movie, which I can't show for obvious reasons, the person is alive after basically losing pretty much all their blood, and they're somehow breathing. Like, that's not how people work in real life. It just takes me out of the movie. I mean, it kind of happened a little bit in the first movie, but here it's even worse. Director, you know that people usually pass out or faint or losing a lot of blood or anything traumatic, like some of the shit these people go through in the movie happens, but whatever. I guess it just showcase how gruesome it is, but it just doesn't work for me. It takes me out a bit too much. I was hoping with the fan backing that this film would have been better than the original and do some more interesting things, but it just seems like it just wasted too much time. Maybe with better pacing it could have worked better and less confusion and more focusing on the stuff that worked make the original work. This film could have been better. For me, it's just a 5 out of 10, while the original was a good 7, a solid 7 out of 10. I don't recommend it unless you really like the original. So that's it. See you next time.